Hey everyone, welcome back to the garage where we're going to be continuing work on my 1989 BMW 325i E30. Now it's been a while since I last made a video, but today we're going to start tackling some of those rust issues. Now this car started off with what seemed like a bunch of mechanical problems. While it seemed daunting at first, it was all accomplishable with just spending some money and getting some new parts thrown in. It wasn't until my last video where I found that there were gaping holes in some of the bodywork. This led to me having to go out and buy a MIG welder and then having to teach myself how to weld sheet metal. Talk about a rabbit hole of a project. That's all okay. Projects are what they are. There are always more problems than you think there are when you first set out. So the objective today is to repair a lot of the rust off the front end of the car in the firewall, wheel well, and rocker panel area. So there's no time to waste. Let's get going. Now the first area that I'm going to address is this nasty driver's side floorboard. But before I can do that, I've got to pull out the seat and the carpet so that there's no more fire hazard. Alright, with the carpet up, we can see the full extent of the rust under the driver's side floorboard. Man, look at this. It's a lot. The body plugs I've pulled out here obviously weren't draining. We got a body plug here. We got this sound deadening material which just traps moisture if it gets in. You see the underside of the carpet. Obviously, it's damp right now. Water was coming from somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where. I noticed this little vent line was undone. I don't know what this is. If this is for the AC drain, maybe, and it was leaking through here, but this seems like an awfully lot of amount of water for that to be the case. I can't imagine anything else is draining from the inside of the car other than the AC drain. I don't know if there's a sunroof drain over here. I'm gonna have to research that, but again, you can see right there. Man, look at all this. Not really, we just gotta keep digging to see how much rust is really here. Fortunately, the rust stops right here, and the floor pans seem okay, but this is really bad. Check this out. So the gas pedal's mounted or hinged at the floor. Look at this. I have to redo that. Jeez. Okay. So I'm going to vacuum this out and then start grinding away and see what actual metal is still there. Okie doke. So I finally cut out all the metal that goes into this one specific repair that's in the footwell, firewall, fender well kind of combination area. Let me tell you, this has been a real pain in the butt to try and cut all this metal out. Let's go take a look at it here. So starting with the fender well side, you can see that this is a very three-dimensional area. So we've got firewall, fender well, and floorboard all coming together in one spot. And gosh, it is just a righteously nasty place. But I've ground down all the edges so that we have something to weld to now. But this will be stage 2. The first thing we want to weld in is actually from inside the car. So let's go over there. So first I'm actually going to weld to the floorboard inside of here. You know, this is just a real mess in here. You know, it's behind the pedals. I'm going to have to be very careful, put some welding cloth down so that I don't start any fires anywhere. I mean, I'm joking about it, but it's really not a joke. You know, we've got the frame rail right there. Floorboard kind of ties into it with the 2 single spot welds. I'm not too worried about that. We'll try to replicate that as best as we can. Again, this is just one spot in this floorboard out of probably the 3 or 4 other spots that I'm gonna have to attend to, but this one is probably the hardest just because it's difficult to get to. It goes under the dashboard. It's just a real pain. So you might be able to tell I'm just sweaty and filthy. You know, I've probably got I don't know, 4 hours and just into cutting this little bit out of the car right now. And now I've got to start making the patch panels, making templates, then cutting it out of metal, and then starting to tack it into the firewall. So, no time to waste. Let's get going on it. Okay, so I've got all the rock cut out of here with the grinding disc, and I've got the surface all kind of ground away, all this undercoating material, so I have some bare metal, something good to weld to. Now, this is sort of a structural member here. I mean, it's not a frame rail, but it is a unibody construction in this car. So everywhere that has pinch welding going on is considered a structural member. So this is the firewall here, and this is the fender well, and they come together right here, and unfortunately it just rotted out. To do this right, you would have to undo, I mean, I would guess hundreds of spot welds to take off this whole front member of the suspension and the body. I mean, you have to take down your whole suspension, probably remove the engine. I mean, I've seen pictures of people who've done this repair before, and that's basically what they have to do it 100% factory correct. I don't have the resources to do that. I don't have the time to do that, so I'm gonna do something that is probably the next best thing. And that is to put a patch panel in over here to create that brace that would have been there before. Just this time it's a completely external brace that ties the firewall to the fender well. What I'm gonna do is create a template for this out of paper, then transfer that over to cardboard, and then fit the cardboard up, make sure it looks good, and then transfer the cardboard over to sheet metal, cut it out of the metal, and then punch some holes into the metal, get it tacked in here, and then start beating it in with the hammer to conform to these curves. And then I'll tack weld it in, and it should be just as strong as before. It's kind of a long process, it's a big job, so let's get cracking. All right, with the panel made, now it's time to tack it into place. Okay, so that is that corner all now patched up. The fender well is now tied into the firewall. You know, it doesn't look factory perfect, but it is now more structurally sound than it ever was with the rust. And this repair should last for quite a while. Now, I'm not completely done here. I still have to seam seal all the edges here with some brushable seam sealer and then kind of coat it with some rubberized undercoating. But I won't be doing that until I'm completely done with all the other rust repairs. That way when I open the seam sealer, I can just use it all at once. So that wraps up this video on this specific rust repair. Next time we're going to be looking at the rust that's in the lower corner down here next to the driver's side footwell. That's going to be an involved job too, because there's like 3 or 4 different panels that come together all in that one spot. So I'm going to have to get creative to fix that one. Again, not going to be factory perfect, but it is going to be sealed back up and structurally sound. So again, thanks guys for watching. I know this has kind of turned into a bigger project than I was expecting, but you know, we're just going to feel our ways through this. I mean, these are issues that basically a lot of E30s are going to be encountering nowadays. So hopefully this will be helpful for other E30 owners that are looking to somewhat restore their car and get it back on the road. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.